6 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Got a roll, please. Zach?
Yep. Kelso.
Here.
Bartholomew.
Here.
Butterfield.
Here.
Austin.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Spar.
Here.
Warren.
Here. We had a chance to look at the minutes from April 28, 2025. There's no amendments. Do I hear a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion for approval.
I'll second it.
Okay. Austin.
He'd have to abstain.
Oh, you weren't there. Good deal. Jones.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Kelso. Butterfield.
Yes.
Bartholomew.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, before we start, council will read a short little statement for the zoning board.
Thank you. A public hearing is being held tonight pursuant to published notice. Any person wishing to address the zoning board will be sworn in by our court reporter and will give their testimony under oath or affirmation. At the conclusion of the public hearing, the zoning board will make its determination. 4 yes votes are required to obtain the approval of the ZBA. The purpose of the public hearing is for the ZBA to hear testimony regarding whether the proposed variance meets the required legal standard for the variance to be issued. The public hearing is not intended to afford an opportunity to comment generally on whether a proposed project is or is not a good idea. Relevant factors for the zoning board to consider include whether the denial of a variance would cause a particular hardship to the owner because of the conditions of the specific property involved, any unique attributes of this property which are not generally applicable to other properties in the zoning district, whether the proposed variance is requested purely for economic gain, whether any particular difficulties have been caused by the applicant, whether granting the variance will be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to other property in the area, and whether the proposed variance will impair adequate light or air to adjacent properties, cause traffic problems, and impair property value or endanger public safety. Testimony offered should be limited to the relevant factors as I've explained. Rules of order govern the conduct of tonight's public hearing. No one should speak unless and until recognized by the chair, and any speaker should follow the directions of our chair.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll start tonight with our only case number 26-01. A variance has been requested for the property located at 151 West Ashland Street. The petitioner seeks a variance from section 10-7-3 of the Village Morton Municipal Code in relation to a fence location, which is installing a fence in a code-defined front yard. I guess, Ryan, you're here, so you'll just step up in the podium, just state your name and address, and then you can.
Would you like my home address or the
That'd be fine.
I gotta swear in first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Ryan Button, home address 133 South Oklahoma here in Morton. The site address is 151 West Ashland. Good evening. My name is Ryan Button. I'm the owner of the property that is subject of tonight's variance request. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, and I appreciate your consideration for this request. The variance before you tonight is not about changing the use of the property. It is not about outdoor storage, additional driveways, future development plans. It is simply a request allowing fencing on a unique configuration piece of property that we have. The hardship is created by the lot itself. Because this property is located on the corner, 2 sides of the property classified as front yards. As a result, the ability to install the fencing is significantly more restricted than it would be typically for an industrial property. The variance would allow me to secure and utilize the property in a manner that is consistent with the intended use of that industrial zone. The fence I am proposing would not create a traffic hazard, obstruct sight lines, change the use of the property, or negatively affect the neighboring properties. I have brought photographs of other nearby properties that have fencing located in the areas that would be considered front yards. And I'll show those now. So the first exhibit here, I have exhibit 1. It is a property just directly to the south. It's a trucking company, and they have fencing around the entire property and in the front yard, just like I was requesting. Theirs is even a bit closer to the road than what I'm requesting. Ours would be set back substantially from what you see here. That is 169 West Ashland. Next, we have the property that is directly across the street from my warehouse. And much like the other one, it has a fence in the front yard all the way across from edge to edge. And it is within 15 to 20 feet of the roadway. So it is substantially closer than mine would be. Next, we have my neighbor to the west, Enterprise. They have concrete barriers as well as fencing for their drives. And that is all along the edge of the roadway there in the front yard. Next, we have the trucking company that is next to that, 233 West Ashland. And I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with that piece of property, but it is all the way around the property and extremely close to the road. I'm not sure what the setback is on that, but it is very close. Much like I said, mine would be set back a lot farther than what this is. And then down a little bit further, we have the storage unit, which is much like my warehouse, where it has fencing in the front yard as well as a gate. And that's set back, you know, from the utility easement that is in the front yard there. And then some other neighboring properties, we have 150 Cortland. Much like West Ashland, a lot of those industrial properties have front yard fencing. This is another example of that. And then if we move a little bit further north, we have the trucking company, Kenworth at 1939 North Morton Avenue. They have a front yard fence that is close to the road as well, protruding from the building. And then the last example I have is the neighboring property of that, which is IDOT. And much like every other industrial property around that area, they have a front yard fence. As you can see from Exhibit 1 through Exhibit 8, the fence variance I'm requesting is consistent with surrounding properties. And this last exhibit here I have for the fencing is a rendering of what it would look like. Like I said, it's going to be set back much further. I will work with Craig and Zach as far as utility easements, that sort of thing. But as you can see, it'll be consistent with what the neighborhood looks like.
Hey, Ryan, not to interrupt.
Yeah.
But there's just a big glare on that from where I'm
Okay.
sitting. Can I see just the last 3 that you had?
Last 3, did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One of the questions raised was whether security is truly the reason for the proposed fence. To help answer that, I brought a few photographs taken on the property. Keep in mind that this is a remote property for me. It's just a storage warehouse, so I'm only out there about once a week. So these are just a few instances of times I went out there and saw people using my property. The first exhibit we have here was just this past week. A truck pulled in with a trailer and decided to load this truck in our parking lot. The next one was actually the week prior to that. In our green space next door, trucks decided to park there to go fishing. A lot of people just assume that because of its proximity next to the park that it's green space provided by the village. The next one, apologize, it's a bit grainy, it's our surveillance camera pictures, but there was a football team staying at the hotel across the street, and they decided one morning to go out and play scrimmage in our green space. Like I said, they just assumed that it was part of the park, and it just opens the door for liability that we don't want. And this last example here is because of our close proximity to the interstate corridor. Unfortunately, at my Jefferson location, we did have a transient that was living in the green space back behind our property there. And this was just about a month ago. These photos show examples of unauthorized use that has occurred on the site. I'm not presenting these examples to criticize anyone. However, they do demonstrate that the property is routinely perceived as open and available for public use when in fact it's private property. My concern is not only security but also liability. A fence establishes a clear boundary, helps prevent unauthorized access, provides a reasonable level of protection for both property owner and the public. My intent is to not point fingers, criticize past decisions, rather than these examples demonstrate the fencing in these locations already exist through the village and has not negatively impacted public safety, visibility, neighboring properties, or community character. I understand the requirements related to this landscaping and utility easements, and I'm willing to work with the village staff to ensure the final fence placement complies with those requirements. The rest is simply about allowing a reasonable security improvement on a uniquely situated industrial property. For those reasons, I respectfully ask that the board approve the variance. Thank you.
I just got one question for Zach to straighten this out. Which side, is it both front, both are issued, just the front corner?
Yep, so on corner lots, our code defines the yard spaces.
Now, is there a utility easement in this front as far as where the guy can place that or not?
Yeah, that would all have to be coordinated and make sure that.
So there is one there somewhere in here?
Yes,
There is,
on the entire front.
okay. So, do we know what that,
It's 15 foot.
it's 15 foot is where that, now what, and where do you want to put it then? How many feet?
I'm looking at roughly 60 feet back from, that would be the east facing side, and then on the south facing side, it is 40 feet back.
Okay, so pretty much a 20-foot, you want to move it up 20 where it'd be legal. You're asking for pretty much a 20-foot variance, is that what I'm,
Roughly, correct.
roughly, I mean,
Yep.
not,
This would be if you're actually putting a structure in our front yard in general, then of course you'd have to coordinate as far as any detention areas or easements and utility easements out front there, that you couldn't be able to place something in an easement at all.
Right.
But yeah.
yeah.
If that makes sense. As far as,
But as far as the back lot line, that's all, you can go right on those and that's no problem.
Correct.
yeah, as far as fences, you're allowed to basically put them in the side
Yeah.
and the rear
Yeah.
as far as what the code says.
And with all, again, Zach is probably, all these examples, have there been any other times where there was a variance granted, or these fences, how do these fences exist?
I have not looked at any sort of the history of the variances. I know that the one down the street, I mean, they've been there for a long time. In the 90s, I know, like the Keene property, I think that the permits for that one was way back in 96 or so. But I'm definitely not keen to every single property up and down that corridor.
I
Yeah.
appreciate- I just know sometimes we're concerned about precedent, but there's kind of a,
Yeah, I did notice that looking down, I mean, there's some older, you can just tell them, I don't know when we decided, we came up with this number that we have, especially on a corner.
I tried to have that information ready. I submitted a Freedom of Information Act to
Yeah.
try to find the permits and variances for
Yeah.
front
but-
yard,
yeah.
but I haven't gotten that back yet.
I go back to probably, some of you have been on here longer than me, but I go back like 2014, I started covering meetings. I don't recall a prior instance where a variance has been granted for a fence in the front yard. So it's probable that the fences that exist either are in violation of code and existing nonconformities that predated the current zoning regulation.
Because technically, it's not a decorative fence, we can, you know, you can put a little wrought iron.
Sure.
I know how I feel about theft, because I had a theft here about a year ago, it was really bad. And I got a shop that I get to it every night, and they robbed the night I was there. I can see your point of fencing in a property, because these guys they're ruthless. They are just unbelievable when they want to rob you, and doesn't matter what they do, they'll do it. I know, you know, we're on a corner, so you're gonna need this 20 feet, is that the extra out further just to make your lot inside of the fence bigger, is that what?
Correct, yeah, I would hate to limit the property. We've got a large piece of land there, and if we built the fence as the code was written, the fence would cut off right at the building, and leave a very small amount actually enclosed in that fenced-in area, to where if we got this variance, we could protrude from the building roughly 20 feet and then go around it to the other side, which would dramatically improve the amount of secure area that we have. And that way, if we ever do decide to pave, add more concrete, more parking, then it will be enclosed.
So that, as I'm looking at that south-facing wall, that fence would be back to about the property line, or the building line? Is that the fence that'd be close to the building right there?
Correct, yep.
That south?
Yep.
Now, like, the other side of Cortland, all the truck places, theirs are all back, the normal, the standard, our new, like, truck centers and all that. Do they have fences on theirs? They don't have, truck center doesn't have a fence? No, they don't, it's just all parking lot, isn't it?
Yeah, out of 10 industrial properties that have fencing within a half-mile radius, 6 of them have front yard fencing.
Yeah. I understand your plight. The only thing I have is, if, let's just say we do give this one, are we establishing for any property, that's the fence line?
Well, and that's the purpose of hardship finding, is why you have to find that there's something unique to this property that's not common to other property in the district. If the hardship is it's a corner lot, then you're creating some precedence that any corner lot can get a variance off the fencing requirement simply by being a corner lot.
Yeah.
Usually your hardship is something more unique than just it's a corner lot versus a non-corner lot.
If I may, one of the hardships that would exist would be the fact that it would be an odd fencing setup in comparison with the rest of the properties on West Ashland. As you drive down West Ashland, it is a solid row of fence.
Yeah, it is.
So then I would have the property that has substantially smaller fencing, which would limit me from keeping what I have protected. And it just boils down to security. The more fencing I can get, the better, you know. I'm not trying to get it, 15 feet from the road, right next to the utility easement. I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking for a little bit more green space away from the building.
So pretty much now, if you do it where you have that temporary fencing, that
Yep.
would just take that straight across to the back and then side?
Exactly, yep. And then as the code is written, we would have to install fence in the parking lot on the east side, because the building is set back from our parking lot. So it could not protrude out past the building as the code's written.
So where your gate is now would not work?
Correct, that's where I'm trying to go, is where my gate
Okay.
is now.
Yeah.
Oh, you're existing, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how the rest of the guys feel, I don't know.
I mean, I see the hardship as far as security. I do see that. It's like you say, you've dealt with it.
Oh, yeah.
I deal with it literally monthly, if not weekly, okay? So I can relate to 110% what he's saying. I'm in Peoria and other communities,
Yeah.
but it goes on everywhere. It's
Yeah.
not, I mean,
Right.
it could even happen in Morton. I would say, I agree with him 100%. I mean, can't say that because I don't know how many tournaments we're hosting as far as for hotels
Yeah.
in Morton. But I mean, once there's a lot going on in Peoria, it's gonna spread further out into the community as far as needing places to stay. And I could see kids just wanting to go over and play a friendly game of football, and I wouldn't want the liability. I mean, in my opinion, he's brought in exhibits that, you know, if it was like, this is what I want, and how do you prove it? I mean, when you've got photos off your security showing other vehicles being loaded, you've got kids there that are on the property
Yeah.
that are playing football. Not that they're trying to cause any ill will, but
And
that's
of course, the
just,
security could be the same way if it goes to the building, I mean, as long as it's a fence. You know, not that it's moved out 20 feet, it's still, you know, security-wise, it's gonna be the same whether the fence is,
I don't know that it's securing just the building as much as maybe the property as well as the building.
Yeah.
That's just my thoughts, but I
That
guess-
was our big thing.
who
that-
owns B3? Do we, the city, or is it who? Or
I-
that lot right next to you?
I own that.
You own the big lot too?
Yes.
So you take that all the way over to the parking lot?
Correct, yeah.
Here's a question that I have, and I'd like to know, and it probably, so let's say, and I know that Ryan would, if he was gonna do it, I feel that he would do it right. But my question is, let's say Ryan sells this place eventually, someone wants to come in, and they wanna market this as outdoor storage. Can you have outdoor storage in a industrial zoned spot without pavement? Or can you just throw down gravel and say, we're gonna park it on gravel, we'll park it on the grass?
So the traveled way would have to be paved. So as far as the way you get out there, this just happened just east of town for Lighthouse, where they put on some more parking. So what the code says is that you can park things on gravel, but the traveled way to get there has to be paved. So they put in a paved way to get through that new area and park there as well.
Okay.
Pat, please say if I'm saying anything off base.
So, and I don't know, again, this is just a question. So I'm guessing most of those out there have, the pavements are surfaced probably, it's probably not gravel where Ryan's at. Would that be, does anybody know? I mean, like where Airland used to be, that's all paved, I'm sure, right? To where there's not any gravel thrown down?
Yeah, they're, yeah, where they are, yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Of course,
No, I mean, I don't have any further questions, and that's kind of where I'm at with it.
So you're not fencing any of that other lot next to the parking lot of the,
Correct, I am not.
that'll
And
just stay,
honestly, I have been working with a couple national chains. I'm trying to get somebody in there. I would like to do a build-to-suit type of deal, like a Chipotle, something like that, because it was zoned, a restaurant.
right.
So I've been actively working on trying to find somebody for that lot, which just kind of pleads my case more if I've got tenants across the way there, creating that boundary would be nice.
The only other concern that I would have, and I think he's expressed the ability to work with you, Zach, as far as making sure, I wouldn't want to approve something as far as saying it's in an easement, go ahead and do it, and then we find out then later on there's litigation involved because we said. So, I mean, if it was coordinated to where Ryan is doing the legal work on it to make sure that everything is in place, that those easements could be gone over with a fence and doesn't propose a legal obligation or litigation with the village, that would clean that up for me. I would feel more comfortable if I was going to vote yes, that would be his responsibility to find out exactly what can legally go on an easement. That's the concern that I had, one of them.
But, and I don't want to speak for Ryan, but I understood his sworn representation be tonight that he intends to locate the fence off of the easement premises entirely.
Entirely?
Correct, we'd be set
Okay.
way back from the actual
All right.
needed easement. I did work with Craig Loudermilk recently via email back and forth, talking about, you know, if it was approved, where that easement is. And like I said in my statement, we will abide by whatever Craig says as far as, you know, if that, you know, setback easement is, you know, 15, you know, whatever it be, we will make sure that we're well within the boundary.
So let's just say we determine this is very unique, we give it, we don't, the next trucking company buys over on, by Morton Industries or something, then. But there, I guess that's not a corner lot either.
We would have to come back for variance and establish.
Right, you know what I mean, if we start something, you know.
As a general premise, zoning rules and regulations evolve over time, and normally the presence of an existing non-conforming structure doesn't create a hardship allowing someone else to create a new non-conformity. So, it's your role to define what that hardship is. Customarily, an existing nonconformity isn't itself a hardship, even though it may be proximate to the property at issue. But if someone else were to come somewhere else in the industrial district and desire to do the same thing, they'd have to come back before you, and if they could establish their property was similarly situated, it would be a difficult task to decline that variance in that situation. I would also observe we haven't had one of these in.
Do we have any
12 years.
industry right now that has this setback that's legal right now? Has anybody moved in new that's had that? Have we had any? I don't see a lot of fenced in, a lot of places don't.
Trying to think of the 3 years I've been here. If there's been any
I don't
projects.
remember it. I mean, nobody's come in front of the board in my 25 years about, as far as out there.
Yeah, as far
So I
as
said,
I've
I think somebody
experienced-
just made a point out there and they just said, okay, whoever was there first and they just, Daly or something, they just, that's the line, that's the line. And it really wasn't bothering anybody because it's, off the highway, nobody really cares.
Just something that was just existing there.
Yeah.
You know?
And I wonder what the date is of when we came up with this ordinance. Do we have that date as far as?
See ordinance 79-45 in here, under fences under I-2.
That would be the
So 79?
79 fiscal year. Yeah.
Okay. So those were probably all done before 79, I'm sure. They were all there.
I know quite a few of the buildings, like the Morton storage.
Yeah.
That was after. And the Enterprise, directly next to me, that was after, but I'm sure those trucking companies were long before.
Yeah. Even where your gate is right now, me looking at it, it seems like it's plenty back, as far as, it doesn't look like it's close to the road. I didn't realize they were that far, we had that. And we've had this with houses with front yards, with setbacks on quite a few times, as far as issues with that.
To be clear, just procedurally, it gets confusing because they're both front yards, but there's essentially two different front yards variances being requested, one for the variance on the east side and then one for the south side of the property. You can either recommend approval or decide approval for one or both. It's all a part of the same case. But if you're to act to approve based on a petition, you would be approving both the east front yard variance and the south front yard variance.
What did Craig say about these setbacks, or did he not know really what the easement, utility easements are through there. We really don't know yet as far as how far back we could legally go, or, you know.
Yeah, as far as that was concerned, I believe the case was only about where you can place it in the front yard, but there was no actually like details of that certain number as far as
Okay.
what the variance would say. 'Cause right now, it's not allowed at all via the code, a fence in a front yard.
Yeah.
So this be allowing the variance in either front yard and coordinating with us as to make sure that fence is placed properly and not in any sort of easement.
If your concern is, if you're inclined to grant it, but your concern is easement, you just make that a part of your motion, that it's worded on a condition that no portion of the fence be installed within any existing utility easement,
Which is, I mean, that.
which we
pretty
wouldn't,
much- yeah,
we wouldn't
yeah.
permit it anyways.
Yeah.
So technically, it would not need to be into the motion then, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But just offer that if that
All right.
assuages your concern.
And I do have the email from Craig that gives the exact setbacks. He said, there are utilities, Ameren Park District, sanitary water, et cetera, within the 12-foot. I was wrong, it's a 12-foot utility easement and a 20-foot sanitary easement shown on the attached drawings. So, you know, they're saying roughly 20-foot easement there. And like as I was saying earlier, our gates that we've got kind of on the side there, those are set back, I think it's 42 feet from the roadway.
So where you have your gate right now to where it needs to be legally is back. You're gonna have to move that gate
All the way back into the actual parking lot to be
right into
flush,
there, okay, because you're out a little bit further right now, yes.
which would make us have to do fence posts through the parking lot, through the concrete.
I don't think that would be, I mean, putting it in concrete, yeah, I don't know if that's a good idea. That'd be tough.
Yeah.
And your drawings are all to scale, Ryan?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
I mean, I think if you're thinking about selling B3 to something like that, you're gonna have to have a fence there. I mean, next to a fast food or something, you'd have to, or they'll drive right over in your lot.
Are you worried about security in B3 right now? As far as kids playing on it and, I mean, 'cause
So-
if you're wanting to fence this in to keep,
That's
and I
been a
understand
debate.
what you're saying there, they go over and twist an ankle, the next thing you know, so. But if B3 is gonna be left open,
We have put signage in the yard as far as, you know, private property, no trespassing. And that does seem to have helped. And that was just put up, we put that up last weekend. Multiple signs on that B3. But I wouldn't want to enclose B3 right now, like I said, with the potential, more than likely, trying to develop it.
Was the area where the kids were playing on your exhibit, wasn't that outside where you're gonna fence, north of your driveway,
No.
east of the fence?
That was, I mean, they were actually leaning up against our dumpster enclosure that we've got there, which would have been fenced in if this variance was granted. And they were actually encroaching kind of into that parking lot area. They were not only, you know, in the B3 with it, like I said, they were in our area as well.
And if somebody would buy B3, and let's just say they want to put a fenced-in storage yard or something, let's just say you could there, their fence would have to be right even with this one then, right? That's this,
Depends on the site plan review part of it. I mean, as far as those details are concerned, it's.
okay, so they can establish that in the planning review and all that?
Right. And just to be clear too, as far as like this parcel is concerned, we cannot permit any fencing to be put on that B3 parcel because there's no structure, there's nothing
Right,
there at all.
right.
So this would only be for this parcel.
Okay,
Yeah, you could almost put a building within the 40-foot building setback, and have that fence, you know, at the face of the building.
yeah.
So it would actually be ahead further than what I'm requesting, like I said, the 42 feet.
Yeah, that's why I just wonder if they put a building up and, you know, it's past, you know, they're past his fence line. That to me doesn't make any sense as far as us keeping his fence back. As far as the, you know, because like in the houses, you got your front setback on a corner lot, but yet you look down the street and every house is the same down both ways, where this could be possibly different being in an industrial.
Setbacks.
There's an exception for houses in the situation we speak of that would not be applicable in this situation.
Right, but I'm just,
Yeah.
I just said when you're looking at a, even industrial, if we've got setbacks and you keep everything, some are up, some are back. Now, that could be personal preference too, where people want to put, their buildings.
And the zoning ordinance at the time that it was built.
Right, I understand that, yeah. Well, does anybody else have any questions? Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we grant case number 26-01 under 1010-2C as written.
I second.
Is that enough verbiage we need? Okay.
Ready for the roll call?
Roll, please.
Okay. Kelso.
Yes.
Warren.
No.
Bartholomew.
No.
Austin.
No.
Jones.
Yes.
Butterfield.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
Yeses have it.
All right, you have your votes. You can just get with Craig and I guess figure all this easements out.
Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you. I appreciate your exhibits, all the work you went through
Thank you.
on that. With that, do I hear, or do we have any other,
Nothing tonight.
have we had did Josh come in for that variance for a garage addition or not, or that standalone garage?
That was not applicable with the situations outlined in the code.
Okay, all right,
I talked through that with him.
okay. All right, with that, do I hear a motion for adjournment?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Say aye.
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 Thank you.
We'll see you maybe next.